Hello everybody, Glitch Reaper here. I'm here kind of in a special version of a seed showcase. I'm just going to be kind of exploring this seed that I found a while back, and I'll be putting the seed title in the description, so everything should be fine. Basically, it's Nopezilla with the N capitalized. Yeah, that I actually put in that, and it got a really beautiful seed. May have seen hints of this before in some other stuff when I was kind of testing it around. But to say the least, it's just a beautiful world. I mean, seriously, and it's so appropriate for the update Aquatic. I mean, seriously, this is evidence of the fact that I started here, because this is your starting chest. Exact loot will be random because of loot tables, so if you see any particular loot in any chest, if I check them, please remember that the way loot tables are handled these days, it won't guarantee you that treasure. Although any buried treasures will always have a Heart of the Sea, if that's what you're looking for. Uh, Speaking of structures that might have buried treasure maps, one thing you may notice is in addition to being in starting off in like an archipelago where you're loaded with islands and you have like plenty of seagrass and kelp, you're also definitely going to be next to certain things. And I've noticed that the terrain generation does in fact still use fractal code to determine certain things based on seed number. So a lot of these structures will in fact be exactly where I show them, which is really nice actually that they made sure it was reliable. Now, one thing that you'll see is that you'll notice that coral reefs, uh, well, for one thing, that they'll be in a certain type of ocean, the warmer ones, since they've subdivided them now. And the thing is that because of the way it starts you off in this particular world, you will find a lot of them nearby. I mean, seriously, this is like one of the ultimate treasure troves of coral reefs, and I found it early on. So that's just an impressive something. Now there's some things to be noted about using F3. If I look at blocks through water, it shows the water first. I kind of have to ram into a block to show what it says in the file names now, which is kind of funny. Uh, I know that feature is really cool where you can look up what you're looking at, but at the same time that can kind of get in the way now that they've done that. I think there's a toggle for that, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, another thing you'll note is you'll be seeing a lot of the other new features, such as these sea pickles, and this is just something that's a nice welcome bonus because along with the nice ocean start, you also have access to a lot of things early on, including some of the trickier to find new aquatic resources, including the sea pickles, tons of coral, and because coral is going to be kind of one of those things. It's going to be all or nothing. Like you'll either find a ton of it or you probably won't have it. Because it does happen in these coral reefs, but the coral reefs are quite large fairly commonly, I've noticed, in terms of the size of out of the chance that you have one at all. So you either will have a fantastic coral reef or you will have no coral anywhere near you. And this particular seed gives you enormous coral reef. So yeah, in fact, it seems to compound around. Now, you'll also note that there's various islands that can help you out. So this would be great for a survival island type scenario. Like, for example, I fly right over here, really close to spawn, and I'm at a beach that also has a forest. Now this is a standard forest biome, although it is quite small because it's on an island. And that's one thing about the ocean, is that sometimes you will get these islands that have just a little bit of a biome to them other than ocean or beach. And sometimes you get them decently large, but still not continent sized. So they won't necessarily be like a mainland area. And in this case, you do get a forest nearby, so this is totally survivable. You could totally like live off these trees and get some supplies. But one of the things that is even more amazing about this archipelago isn't just the fact that you get ones that are like different biomes and stuff on top of them, or that you have like a coral reef nearby. That's totally not all with this particular seed number. It's also that you have access to something that I have reliably gotten multiple times, actually. And the dolphins seem to be having some fun with fallen blocks like sand. But anyhow, the thing is that you get two and I mean this is reliable here. You get a couple of above the surface versions of the ruins. The thing is, this won't always happen. Hi, turtle. But the thing is, because of the way that they fractalize, and so does the ocean's like general placement for islands, apparently the way that these will wind up on the surface is if they seem to find the exact like certain uh, x and z coordinates, and they will simply find the highest place. But because they'll need to be on like a biome that's basically aquatic, whether it be ocean or for that matter beach, it will show up on those. Now in this case, uh, you can tell that it kind of squished over a bit into the plains, enough where if I'm over the majority of it, it actually says plains rather than beach. But apparently once they start, they can kind of go into the other biome by quite a bit. Now these have, as you can imagine, chests. I give it a moment. And they have buried treasure maps for me. But again, that's not exactly guaranteed. As you can see, this one has an enchanted fishing pole, which for me is a good thing. I like fishing sometimes in Minecraft, and often for long periods of time, where I can get all sorts of random loot. And that's the thing the update Aquatic is about, is random loot. But this one I lucked out, and I got a buried treasure map. And that's the thing, is those will probably be a little bit more fine structured than the ruins, but at least this seed guarantees you 2 of the ruins easy to get up to by comparison. Although that might be relative with these guys hanging around now. And as I said about being survivable, well, if you can get over to that island, you can make yourself some boats and boat around quite a bit. Now, another thing about it is if I fly around the rim here, I will find some other biomes that are kind of important. It's one thing, by the way, there's certain things about the locate command that's new now. And one thing I'd like to point out is, even though you will find new structures, including shipwrecks and ruins, if you'd like, and stuff like that, when you'd like to find them, please note that it doesn't show biomes. Yeah, that would be a little handier to have also the ability to find biomes, because I could see like looking for like very particular features. Now I've located a monument nearby, and there will be because sometimes locate command takes a little while. See, there you go. But the thing is that there's other things that have shown up pretty reliably. And again, fractal code structure makes these things important. Like right over here, we have a shipwreck. Again, pretty close to your original spawn. And this is actually a pretty decently sized shipwreck. I mean, seriously, this thing is actually kind of nice. I mean, it's pretty much the full ship, and they can be in different conditions. So that makes this very important. So if I go around here, find at least one treasure chest. Aha, buried treasure map. So that's at least 2. That's at least 2. That's very nice. So this has been I shut myself in for a moment there. That was kind of funny. Oops. Silly me. I clicked a little bit too quick. But yeah, so update aquatic structures says you get ships and all sorts of things, and again, some of this stuff is fairly reliable. Oh. Step. Oh my gosh, that's a boatload. A literal boatload in a boat. That, I mean, it had to happen eventually. A literal boatload. Hi, dolphin. Nice to see you. And some nice fish. Okay, but yeah, this is showing one of these reliably showing up. Now, again, if I kind of skirt around, and you'd probably be boating rather than flying, but you'll note there's also some things that come up along the periphery. Although you can go ahead and admire all the coral. Like you'll note some of these bigger pieces of land, including some more sizable islands. But sooner or later, as I'm going around the periphery here, I will find myself like some more consistent large pieces of land, like right over here. I mean, this actually has one of the better icy biomes I've seen for a while too. ever since the update that changed the world in 1.7, they kind of shrank the usual size of biomes. Like they don't get usually as large as they used to. They've kind of become more moderated. But you can also kind of count it as one big icy biome because it kind of enmeshes all sorts of different icy biomes in them, including, of course, ice plains, cold taiga, and a few others. So if you're a friend of not just the liquid water, but also the crystalline water, aka ice and snow, then you'll definitely love this biome because it's very much a winter wonderland. And as you might have seen from me re-exploring my first Minecraft world, he literally started in one, like a big icy biome. So it's quite familiar. And oh my gosh, these marks are interesting. Um, there's nothing above them, right? I mean, the how is it showing up like that? Is this like that time that they teased features in uh, the like the April Fool's snapshot, which or April Fool's version, which was the the what was that called? Something rather in Hugs version. It was very friendly. But anyhow, I mean, I don't think that was purposeful. I don't think that was purposeful. But anywhere around this location, you'll be finding yourself some impressive amounts of packed ice because you'll find an ice plain spikes biome, and just by coincidence, there's a monstrous couple of them over there. Now, the thing about it is, if you have Silk Touch, this is kind of a partial shortcut to the full route of getting the new blue ice. It goes basically where you can use Silk Touch to get normal ice, you can pack that in groups of 9 to get packed ice, and you can take 9 packed ice to get blue ice. So it keeps going down by keeps going up by a compression of 9 each time, and I don't believe that's reversible now, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to unpack the ice. Admittedly, some things, once they're pressurized, stay pressurized. And here's an interesting feature I thought was kind of awesome when I ran into it a little while ago. This is, in fact, a shipwreck in an icy ocean. I mean, this is literally, it literally crashed into a snowy beach. And that's another thing. These other structures, too, can also show up in biomes that are just considered to be part of the general aquatic set. It doesn't have to be immediately in the ocean. And when that happens, you can get these surface versions or near surface versions. And you can also kind of get varying degrees of shipwrecks being above or below the water, kind of like with the ruins. Although it seems that they're a little more prone to staying low even if they run aground. Because, hey, they're a shipwreck. It doesn't mean they're just going to park there. So, yeah, there's totally that. And that's one I thought was really fascinating. Now, whenever I'm going around here, you can kind of see that this is, as I was kind of explaining, a really big icy biome. Now, I don't know if I can find a glacier around here. That would be nice. The thing is, with those new fine structures, unfortunately, and look, there's a second one, only this one's even more visible, but it's still very clearly smacked into the icy shore. So it's kind of a doomed expedition. And that's another thing about the update Aquatic and why I felt that I had to show off a particular world in it so well is because it's just, I mean, it has such additional potential for just the storyline of the game. Like, it kind of gets you these ideas of stories of like pirates and buccaneers and of course, you know, naval battles gone wrong and all sorts of things like that. And that what is up with these squares of the terrain? I mean, this is like a line. Look at this. This is a line. There's something up with this. I know they've been having some issues here and there, and this is technically in a pre-release, but that's just that's just weird. And of course, yet another one. And also note that they have been making really good use of the new trapdoor types. So yeah, that just comes together beautifully. Hey, can I find a glacier here? I'd just like to see if I can find a glacier. No glacier? None anywhere close? I mean, I could go back to the packed ice and see if it just leads in. But usually the glaciers are going to be more around the sides because technically it's going to show up in frozen oceans. Oh my gosh, this seed is such a bonanza. whenever it comes to shipwrecks. I mean, that's an upside down one. So that just shows there's a little variety on those too. Okay, maybe I should go to that ocean monument that I scouted before. I could probably just teleport to it. And yeah, this is kind of getting close to the end of this particular biome. And I hadn't actually looked this far to see if there was a glacier. But it does apparently go back to another ice plain spike. So if you run along the shoreline with a boat, you will be finding some great stuff. I mean, oh wait, there we go. That's what I was hoping to find. I was just doing a little straight up exploration, and there we go. Glacier. Glacier, is that one? See, it's only in frozen oceans, as I was saying. I knew I'd find one on the border. I knew it. I just wanted to make absolutely sure. And there's a shipwreck right next to it. That's beautiful. See if I can see a little blue ice. It's only going to be at the bottoms of glaciers, which is actually true to real life, and that makes me think of something else. The thing is, there's kind of a parallel between D&D and real life that I know, and it has to do with glaciers. Apparently, there's this strange variation of substance known as blue ice, and D&D actually kind of proposed that as a special material you could make stuff out of. But the truth is, nobody really knows if it could be useful because it's found only buried in deep in glaciers. Apparently, only extreme pressure and cold can generate it. And that is true, both in D&D and real life, that you will only find blue ice that way. Ah, there's some. But it's this incredibly compacted, bizarre, super form of ice that you just don't see around otherwise. And right now it's here in Minecraft. I find that really cool. And not to mention literally, because here I am in a frozen ocean with a lot of literally really cool stuff. And you can also see that one additional feature of the new glaciers, if you find them, is this one of the few times you'll see snow as a generation block. Okay, now I'm going to stop doing this part and go to something very particular. Okay. Zip. Wow, I literally almost landed on that Elder Guardian. But yeah, you can kind of tell if you don't go too terribly far from spawn. I mean, it's within a kind of kilometer radius of 0, 0, because it's like minus 850 or so, and like positive 170 or so on that. And then you'll find yourself an ocean monument. And these are always nice for various reasons. And they do generate at the same locations according to seed, but the thing is they may or may not be slightly different in structure. That's partially randomized, but just for checking out, I'm going to go into, and this new click to do stuff thing is interesting, going into spectator mode for a little while. So I don't disturb them, and while I look for a very particular room, I mean, just to see if it's here, because again, these are going to be like semi-randomized, and they'll still be at the same location, but they might not be the exact same build. So whenever you see certain things, just remember that they don't always come out the way that I might show them in the showcase, because they may in fact be re-randomized each time. Like treasures again use loot tables now. And these structures, the ocean monuments, which I've always really much enjoyed, are special because they also have like this semi-randomized room thing where they're specially constructed. I was just hoping to see a special room, the sponge room, but it seems to not be happening. Oh, I'm always having. Oh wait. I think I finally found one. Oh my gosh. I had to do it in a seed showcase to find it, but I finally found myself a sponge room. Weird thing. Not everybody has bad luck with the same thing in Minecraft. In my case, it's finding sponge rooms. I always find the ocean monuments, but the sponge rooms always elude me. This case, I finally had to go with one themed Update Aquatic just to find a sponge room, and there's no guarantee that if I did this again, that this exact one would have this. Okay, now there's another thing that I was going to try to see if it worked out, because there's kind of parallels between uh, 1.12.2 and this. Like, a lot of this is actually here previously in terms of general landscape, but the subdivision of the ocean and the new features aren't there. So it's kind of interesting how they did it. They like took like the ocean that was already supposed to be there and templated new things onto it, which I find particularly cool, because if you're used to a particular seed that you want to use, then it would make it fairly easy to kind of reuse again, but just have it improve for the update Aquatic. Now, let me see here. Can I do that thing with locate? Okay, let's see if it's see stronghold, stronghold, stronghold. Yeah, this might be interesting because I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if it's going to be the one that I'm looking for, because I saw one in the. Now I've explored this myself. I've explored it in the MITS data, and this is the thing that was predicted in a MITS. It's a very rare convergence of things, and I'm very, very happy that this turned out to be true. Because right near we have a mushroom biome that's actually a bit closer than they usually are. I mean, you usually find them like at least 5,000 blocks out from spawn or something like that. In this case, it's within 2,000 or so. Yeah, it's definitely within 2,000. So you can kind of see up in my coordinates, it's like minus 1,600 or so, and minus close to 300. But the big thing is, it predicted something very special, a convergence in the force, so to speak, that I'd never experienced or felt before. And that is a mushroom biome that also has a stronghold underneath it. Now you can see that close by to the ocean biomes, it's still awesome. Like, they call it mushroom fields now, but it's still usually at least bordering the ocean. Now, I can see why they stopped calling it mushroom islands, even though they tend to be islands. And it's partially because I have seen some connected before as well. And what I mean by that, and let's see if this one does it, because Amidst kind of predicted it. That's something I kind of like doing, is just checking out stuff on Amidst sometimes, just out of curiosity. And this one turned out to be where I just guessed it straight, and then I went to a minutes to feed myself more information on what else it could do. And this is where I came up with what else it could do, is this crazy convergence. As you can see right here, it connects to land, so it's not technically an island. So this is proving my point right now as to why they renamed it Mushroom Fields. Oh my gosh. The fact that they're technically somewhat neutral in temperature made something funny. There is grass right there because one biome has ran into it, generating grass blocks instead of mycelium, and so the different temperature scale is went over it. Of course, there's a little over here too, so that's not entirely it, but you can kind of see what I mean. Huh. Actually, in general, this mushroom biome is a bit more green than usual. Usually they're nothing but mycelium when it comes to their main vegetative block on the surface, if you know what I mean. You know, the one that can spread. Okay. Anyhow, what is that? Is that something? Is that another shipwreck? Seriously, this thing is full of shipwrecks. I wasn't even looking for all of them. I was just looking at the close ones, and it's a shipwreck. It is a shipwreck, and I can't do that until I put myself back into the other game mode. I think there's a little length of time going between whenever they actually generate loot because of the way loot tables work. But what's weird is you don't normally get that delay with that, so it seems to be mainly on this exact snapshot that we're having this weird delay, but it still generates. It just seems to have a bit of a lag to it. Now, of course, that may also have to do with the fact that these are specific aquatic versions, and they have to check for the chance of treasure map, and therefore that has to chance of saying where a buried treasure is relative to you, so it has to find a spot. So it may be all the special checks it has to do additionally to what it normally does. So yeah, I'm going to dive down in spectator mode again and just try to... Can you not click that? Okay. I got it. Oh, darn it, I hit that again. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Seriously. This is not what I meant to do. I meant to hit spectator. Okay. I just want to confirm that there is a stronghold. And extra curious about a stronghold underneath a mushroom biome. Ooh, murky. And it has a dungeon here. Those are sometimes the same in worlds with the same seed, sometimes not. Because there's like an additional thing they do where it's by probability, so it's just most likely to be shared. So if you're looking for dungeons, don't necessarily take this exact location for granted either, because again, stuff happens. Now, I can see a mine shaft down here. So where's the stronghold? Because it was predicting a stronghold under a mushroom island. At some point, they were having difficulty with strongholds generating, and they decided to diversify which biomes technically supported them. And I never did find out what the full list became, or if they just said, well, whatever. Like, whatever biome it is, we don't care anymore. I think that's true because I spotted the stronghold, so I know it works. I made an advancement in Spectator. I didn't even know that was physically possible. Although apparently in Spectator you don't trip off spawners. Okay, so this is technically very close to it. Now, is any of this saying it's under the mushroom biome? Because okay, I'm just zipping around here for a very particular reason. I'm looking at the biome. Okay, mushroom field shore. So this close to it, I'm in a mushroom biome. Over here, oh wait, it tripped for a second there. Okay, it's very close to it actually. And then here we're in cold ocean, which is again part of the new division of the oceans. Again, it's like subdivided the ocean rather than changed where your ocean is, which is again very nice. But what this means, it just got insanely close to what I was hoping for. I was hoping for just checking out and finding out if this stronghold really was at a mushroom island where you could actually explore. Okay, it looks like you could explore a lot of it in the mushroom island biome, but some of it not. And why I'm wondering that is that mushroom biomes have this thing that they forbid hostile mobs from spawning, and most animals other than mushrooms. So, but there are certain things like aquatic mobs of certain types can show up. So can bats, which are like considered ambient, and then of course, you know, like you got the mushrooms also force spawning like things from dungeons and other things like, oh, say, well, there's a very special circumstance that I may or may not reveal eventually, but it's so rare that it's like, yeah, right. But yeah, basically forced spawning works in mushroom biomes. And of course, anything passive that breeds, if you can get it here or it's already here, like a mushroom, will of course breed normally, because again, that's kind of a forced spawning event, even though it's also a bit different. So I was just thinking, what would happen if the Mist told me more about my world in a way that was cool, and then it did, and then I'm going, okay, now I see that there is that mushroom biome that I'd already been checking out, but turns out there's a stronghold next to it, possibly because of the expanded stronghold rules. But I was thinking, if they converge, then that means you could theoretically explore a stronghold safely because of the embargo on against hostile mobs. So I was thinking that would have been cool. So it turned out active experiment here, admittedly just active experiment, didn't entirely work the way I was hoping to, but it did in fact also have, well, it did in fact also have that thing where they were at least very, 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 very close to each other. So, and there is some sections of the stronghold that are in fact within the boundary of the mushroom biome. So it would be safer than usual to explore that one, but not 100%. So kind of close. But yeah, just keep watching, and if you have the ability to zoom in, feel free to zoom in anytime on some of the coordinates as I went around in this area, rather through this whole world. And Also note that, again, there's a lot of these features that will be pretty much guaranteed, but certain exact details won't be. Like, you won't be able to rely on any of those chests to be exactly what I found, because that's no longer determined that way anymore. And at the same time, certain structures that already have some amount of additional variability, like the ocean monuments, also won't exactly be quite perfect. But at the same time, you will have things pretty much the same locations if they're structures, biomes, or for that matter, other kind of, I guess you could say, not exactly a sub-biome, but kind of. Like, for example, there's some structures that are associated with biomes that will be there, like you're guaranteed to get that massive coral reef right off the start. So that's definitely something, and I might want to switch over to creative just to log off and not look weird, because whenever you do spectator, you're kind of a floating head. So it's something. Oh my gosh, the amount of cool things in this seems to never end. I mean, seriously, that's actually. I mean, in addition to the other icy biome connecting with that mushroom biome, I have a glacier right next to it. Seriously. And these show up in cold oceans as well as frozen and things like that. So again, if it's the chilly ocean, you might find these. But wow, I mean, what are the odds of like all this stuff being in one world and just being like so aquatically perfect? So yeah, I'm just taking this as a sign that one of these days, whenever I'm doing like something in 1.13 straight up, that I will just be exploring and doing stuff with this seed, because there's just so much awesome with it. It's just amazing. So yeah, it's like, how can I not? I mean, how can anybody not? This one is just so perfectly awesome for this update. It's just, yeah, it just works so darn well. It's like, yay! Everything update aquatic, and lots of it. This is the smorgasbord, and I don't mean the new uh was it the world type is called that, or is it called something different? I'll have to remind myself of that one a bit more properly later. But yeah, oh well. Anyhow, it's been pretty good showing off this particular world, and some of the cool features around it, such as mushroom biome that's actually decently close, and some other things kind of close to spawn. That's awesome. There's also a possibility that there might be a mansion nearby, but whenever I tried to locate within it, it didn't show. So I think locate does in fact have a range. So I can't just pop that off at spawn and find it within the space it is, but there might be one pretty close by. Let me check something real quick. Oh wait, I need a. There we go. So I actually have my amidst run up. Okay, where is that supposed to be? And this is amidst on the current ones. Okay, so 339 2016. Because I know I worked that up and I wanted to make sure that I could do that. So let's. Oh wait. I have to get out of this game mode because I forgot that whenever you're in spectator, you're usually not necessarily allowed to spawn new chunks. So that could be a thing. See, 339 C80 2219-ish. See, is this gonna get me close? Or was that supposed to be negative? I think that was supposed to be negative something there. Yeah, I twisted that around and shot myself to the other side of the world. Oops. Okay, I'll check that again. I had it close. I just didn't go far enough. Okay, because it's supposed to be 2A something. Okay, so let's do that again. And go 339. 80 and 2900. Teleports also seem to be a little slower now that there's so much more that has to check for, so. Yeah, it's not even showing me my... Okay, we're getting there. Roof Forest. Please. Yes, Mansion. It was right, so... And that was technically using a mist on 1.12.2 rather than the new 13 profile, so that was reliable. That was reliable. There's certain things that you don't have to worry about being changed out. So this is also a different kind of good news. It means you can still rely not only on mapping programs, but just how it was before in general, because they feed off the raw, a mist feeds off the raw data of the world as to how it works, and it feeds off the master program of how things generate. So once it figured out what kind of terrain generation it's using in a profile, it uses the fractal algorithm to generate things that are well known as generate within Minecraft. So example, finding a mansion. Now whenever I used locate from spawn, it didn't find this one. But as you can see, this particular mansion is actually very close for a woodland mansion. At 360 some odd, 2900 some odd, that's within 3,000 blocks of spawn. And for people like me who found these things before in-game one way or another, in my case, I actually bought the map and did it my first time, and got myself some rocket wings and just flew to one. Well, I can tell you that my earliest one I ever found was at least 8,000 blocks away, and I've heard that's pretty much average. So if you want to explore yourself a woodland mansion using this particular seed, yeah, it's going to be a lot closer than normal. Although not necessarily borderlining the aquatic too terribly much, but hey, still got stuff in rivers. Like, hey, look, we still have other things that are signs, so now wherever there is water, there are aquatic update features, including just in rivers. And in this case, we have some seagrass. We have, hello, river. Are there salmon? Yeah, there's salmon. I knew I'd find some salmon because they also show up in rivers, not just oceans. So yeah, but yeah, as I was saying, okay, so they may not be borderlining the ocean, and it may not be like going completely with the theme, but hey, let's face it, these things are hard to find, so you might want to know where one is. And I am definitely showing this one off right here, that we have ourselves a nice woodland mansion. So yeah, this is definitely one with a lot of cool features that are up close. Now, I did notice whenever I was checking out Amidst earlier in terms of confirming a few other things with it after I found the seed originally, that certain things are kind of inverted in terms of how close they normally are. Like, you're not going to be finding a jungle too terribly close to you with this seed. So, if you're going to find a jungle temple, good luck with that, because they're going to be decently far out. So this seed isn't really geared for those that much. It's mostly based around things that you normally find in terms of like very specific things that you want to find with exploration. Like, for example, your stronghold, your mushroom biome, your woodland mansion. You got all sorts of update aquatic content that you definitely want to find. And it's all within a very short reach of each other. So, with that, I think I'm going to go off. And because I did something shroomy earlier on, I think I'll go off on a shroom. So, let's just stand on a giant mushroom for a moment. So, yeah, I think that's shown off this world and how cool it really is. Pretty well. I mean, I found this one basically randomly, and then I expanded with a mix to find out it was even cooler than I first thought. And because it just kept up with being a good place to use, I really wanted to show it off. So this has been Nopezilla, the seed. So in case you want to see that in another way, this is the actual... Yeah, I wonder if there's a certain command it could still use. I will say Nopezilla. Ha ha ha, it still works. I love the @me command. I mean, not /me command. But yeah, Nopezilla. That is That is the seed number if you want to put it in text. Otherwise, you could convert it into numbers, but sometimes these ones that are a phrase or a word are a lot easier to remember. So I just decided to uh, give this thing its due completely. And yeah, so but for now, this has been Glitch Reaper. I'll be logging off. I hope to hear from you all soon. So bye for now, everybody.